This is the time of the year where, look, we talk about these are the things that you need to do. You need to be active. You need to do this. You need to do that. And all that's well and fine. But I think it's important to discuss what we shouldn't do. There's going to be mistakes that can be made in fantasy, at work, at home, every aspect of life. Of course, we're going to focus on fantasy. So we're going to tell you about some mistakes that we want you and us to avoid because, look, they not perfect. You're not perfect. We've made mistakes. We've made mistakes playing this game, commissioning leagues and stuff like that. How can we work around that? How can we avoid it? Let's get to it. We got a few talking points here. Nate, what is the first one that you have for us this evening?
A mistake you don't want to make is not prioritizing points in the offseason. Now, this isn't saying that you necessarily need to set your lineup in the middle of June. You don't need to set your lineup in the middle of June. But you do need to keep in mind that you are getting players on your team to score fantasy points, not to increase the value of your team when you plug the league ID in to keep trade cut. It is about what is your team going to do when the football games are actually played. And, the last podcast, we were talking about the difference between Tyreek Hill and Michael Pittman Jr. We got a running back on top of Michael Pittman Jr. for trading Tyreek Hill away, but we lost 7.9 points per game, Mike. So that has to be something to take into account, just how productive your players are. Are they maybe more for the future? Are they really, going to help you this year? And it's easy to get caught up in that value and the value insulation of younger players, rookie picks. And it's not a terrible strategy in the offseason because we don't really know what's going to happen. So in the offseason, it is nice to kind of just go along with market value to make sure that, hey, I'm still, having the amount of assets I need that if I need to make a move, I can. But you do need to set your lineup. I believe only like 11 or 12 weekends from now, Mike, we're going to be seeing football being played on an NFL field. And that's going to be pretty exciting. I want to take this and make it into an example here. Rome Odunze is great. I'm really excited about Rome Odunze. Now, should you trade away Tyreek Hill for Rome Odunze if you're a contending team?
No,
now, if you plug it into a trade calculator, Tyreek Hill is over Rome Odunze, but not by that much. You could add a second on a Rome Odunze, and people are going to consider that trade. Especially if maybe someone with Tyreek Hill wasn't a contending team. But if you're a contending team, even if you get Rome Odunze in a first, while I would say that's great value for Tyreek Hill. No, do you have the other wide receivers to make sure your team stays competitive if you lose a guy like Tyreek Hill, who's not just your wide receiver one, but a cornerstone piece for your team? I mean, you got to have these guys.
I feel like this is one of the most underrated points that can be made in the offseason. We're not scoring points right now. I completely understand that. And I've been guilty of saying, you're not setting a lineup right now, but that's mostly for you to not make or be forced into moves that you don't want to make. But we get rookie fever. I get it. You get it. We're excited about these younger guys. And I think you have a great example here. Don't trade away Tyreek Hill for Rome Odunze. The fact of the matter is this, and I don't want to offend anybody when I say this. Tyreek Hill is a unicorn. There's going to be Rome Odunzes in every class. There's going to be top tier wide receivers in every class. There just is. Some classes more so than others. This year, weighted against last year's class especially. But Tyreek Hill averaged 23.5 fantasy points per game. Now, Rome Odunze in a second, plug that into a calculator. Is that going to look good? It's going to balance out. But where it's not going to balance out is week 17 in the championship game. Rome Odunze with the rookie quarterback, who a lot of people like, they say he's going to be a generational talent, or a proven guy with a young veteran quarterback. It's really important. I love this point, Nate. And there's obviously more factors into it as well. Look at the team around them. How good's the team around them? What's the connection like between the wide receiver and quarterback? These things are important. Tyreek, he's played with Tua. Rome, he hasn't played with Caleb Williams yet. Yeah, I know. They took a plane somewhere together.
And I think one way you can, work on this, Mike, play underdog, playing best ball, because that's the drafts you can do right now in June. You can't just, start your redraft league right now, your home league. No, none of those guys are ready to play. So how do you keep an eye on redraft rankings? How do you keep an eye on, what players are going to score me points when I have to set my lineup a couple weeks from now or a couple months from now? Play underdog. And Mike, I believe we have a code for underdog, but that's not why I put it on here. I actually was just playing underdog the other night because I've been so invested in a dynasty and values that I need to make sure that I'm still paying attention to what's going to actually happen this season, just this season, not next season, not the season after that, not what's happening right now in college football, what's actually going to happen this coming season, who's going to score a lot of fantasy points, and then seeing the differences. in underdog ADP versus dynasty ADP and using that to your advantage.
Score points in season and in the off season. You could kind of think of it that way. You could prioritize it that way, however you want to look at it. Nate, that's a great point. I love this. Let me go to a mistake I want people to avoid. Don't take off-season hype too seriously, but don't ignore it altogether. And here's why. You have to really kind of sift through what's what. Nate, I know you're a big fan of 32 beat writers.
Oh, yeah.
I just recently, within the last few months, started following them. Would you say that they're pretty good as far as their reporting? It's pretty it's not very biased or anything like that.
Yeah, mostly what they do is just retweet, relevant information, or they pull out a couple quotes from like a training camp report just to kind of keep you in the know. Obviously, you don't have the time to read all these. And honestly, I don't know if I even have the time to read all the 32 beat writer tweets because I have them on notifications and they blow my phone up like all the time.
Yeah, I know.
It drives me crazy, but they do give
like,
you a lot of information.
It's like being in our Discord, which you can hop in for a week for free, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. Click on that free trial. Come say hi. I would love to see you guys. There are plenty of room for you. But I think it's important where if you're really invested, follow known good beat writers or 32 beat writers from these teams. For example, I'm an Eagles fan. There are beat writers for the Eagles that I take more serious. Ruben Frank, Dave Zangaro are the two that I trust the most over guys like Elliott Shore Parks, guys like that, or any of the Eskins. I trust those two more than the other guys. These guys are NFL writers. Okay. This is their year-round job. They have to have stories. So they're really looking for stuff. I'll give you a prime example. Hate to go back to the birds. Jalen Hurts was asked about Nick Sirianni. He didn't give a glowing response. That's just how Jalen Hurts is. You know what Jalen Hurts would prefer to say after a game or in press conferences? Nothing. That guy doesn't want to be on the podium. He wants to play football. He wants to be with teammates. What I'm learning, that's just how the guy is. So you have to read between the lines. You have to sift through information. And if you see a depth player being hyped, this is one thing I'm looking to. You think there's a clear path to relevance for that player? You have to think if there's a clear path before deciding to buy or sell. Now, on the flip side of that, Nate, if somebody's coming to you with a good offer and you're not sure about the guy, what are you going to do? You're going to at least entertain it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of those things where read the reports, think about it, don't buy into every piece of hype out there. Like I see waiver wires going crazy right now. And the fact of the matter is people are dropping a lot of fab on players that they're going to cut right now. I wait until training camp starts to really ramp up my waivers. I don't know about you, Nate, but like when I see depth chart actual movement is when I start to ramp up a little bit. Yeah. Like I know Tyrone Tracy was running with the ones or something like that. Okay, great. I still want Devin Singletary. You know what? Good. Because if Tyrone Tracy's value goes up and Devin Singletary's goes down, give me even more Devin Singletary.
It can work out for you if you're wise.
But what do you think about off-season hype? You buy in, you buy out?
Yeah, it's hard because you don't want to miss the next thing, but also, Mike, majority of the next things don't actually become the next thing.
They become the next nothing.
Exactly. There's I know I should have probably gone through the list of players that were hyped up last training camp who you probably have forgotten about.
I have a good one for you then.
Go ahead.
Lynn Bowden Jr.
I mean, you have like the famous reports of Justin Jefferson, running behind BC Johnson his rookie year. There was a training camp report that came out probably end of July, early August, Jamar Chase's rookie year, that he couldn't catch. And you know how many people sold Jamar Chase in beginning of August because they heard he couldn't catch? A lot of people. You could have got Jamar Chase for just a late first in some of those trades I was seeing going down. And he was, back in May being picked to the 102, 103, maybe even the 101. These training camp reports, a lot of people will swing the pendulum either way. You can go and keep trade cut. You can see that actually happening. And what I like to do is if I see one report about a player, it's not moving the needle for me. I need to see multiple reports about a player from multiple different sources to know that, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. Something's happening here. That's when I want to start maybe investing in. And also another thing to realize that each NFL season is a brand new NFL season and anything can happen. We have seen players that we have disregarded for years come back out of nowhere and have fantasy relevant seasons, and not just fantasy relevant seasons, but significant fantasy relevant seasons. Down to Foreman at one point, who wasn't even rostered, came back, had like 2 seasons where he was very, very relevant. We have players every year that pop back up. So when you're reading these reports, get rid of your priors, because each season is a new season. Anything can happen. Everything can change. You never really know, especially when you have players that maybe underperformed in one place in a new place, because coaching staff and situation matters a lot.
Hey guys, Bob here, dropping by to interrupt your scheduled programming to introduce today's trusted partner, Aura. A lot of our focus here at the Dynasty Rewind is protecting our Dynasty assets and taking care of the long-term vision. What drew us to Aura is that they reflect this mindset, but with the most important assets in your life. Have you ever received a spam call or a suspicious email? I know I have. And it's not just annoying, it's a sign of a much larger problem. Behind these unwanted calls and emails lie data brokers, which are websites that buy and sell your personal information without your consent. Geez, not great, Bob. What? Okay, weird. You guys see that? Don't know what that was about. I recently did a search for my own name online and was shocked and quite frankly disgusted at my information popping up over multiple data broker websites. And that's when I realized just how vulnerable I was to online threats. But that's where Aura comes in. They're more than just an online security service. They're your personal bodyguard in the digital world. Aura actively identifies which data brokers are selling your information and takes action by sending out opt-out requests on your behalf. Not only does this cut down on all those annoying spam emails and phone calls, but it also shields you and your loved ones from potential cyber threats and hackers. And they don't just stop at the protection. They offer unparalleled convenience as well. With their comprehensive suite of tools, you can safeguard your online presence with ease from an app or your desktop, whichever you prefer. I've made the choice to take my online privacy seriously. And with Aura by my side, I have the peace of mind to focus on what really matters. Dynasty Fantasy Football. Just kidding. But if you value your privacy as much as I do, don't wait any longer. Check out Aura today and take control of your online privacy. Go to aura.com/Dynasty Rewind and take a free 2-week trial on us. 14 days to get the full experience, get in on all the tools, and really experience everything Aura has to offer. You can find that link on your screen, in the YouTube description box, or in the pinned comment below. But hey, with all that said, thank you all so much for listening. Now, let's get back to the content you came for.
What's another mistake that you're avoiding?
Yeah, another mistake that I'm avoiding, we're avoiding here at the Dynasty Rewind, is just trying to run it back and just staying stagnant. What I say leading up to the NFL draft every single year is, if you're not moving forward, if you're not increasing your stock, you're falling behind. You don't have to do anything negative necessarily, but if you're just staying in neutral and the other players are getting more hyped up and their draft stock is being boosted, you're falling behind. And this is happening every single year in all of your leagues if you're not doing anything to your team. You might have won the championship last year. You might have been in second or third place. You have a championship squad, but every single player on your team is a year older. Some of your players are on different teams. Some of your players had drafted competition. Everything is changing every single year. Like I just said, each NFL season is a new NFL season. Just because you had really good running backs last year does not mean you're going to have really good running backs this year.
Great point.
And staying on top of what's going on, staying on top of your team, not that you have to churn out an entire new roster, but looking at what you have, maybe you can make a couple moves where you just get maybe just a year or two younger. You don't have to trade your star wide receiver for a brand new rookie wide receiver to make sure that your team's going to be okay. But maybe making a couple places where you get a little bit better, get a little bit more draft capital in the future so that you can make the trades in the season if you need to. A couple examples here, Mike, and I'm just kind of picking on Davante Adams because I think he's a good sell. And he's a player that's probably on some productive teams, some championship teams. Moving Davante Adams for Chris Godwin in a first. I saw that on Dynasty Daddy today. I don't know if you can actually make that trade happen. Maybe it's Chris Godwin in a second or early second, or a player valued around that value. But making a trade like that with what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders right now in that offense, I don't think you're really going to be missing out in a points per game fashion too much from going from Davante Adams to Chris Godwin, getting 3-4 years younger. This is a trade that it's not a blockbuster trade, but this keeps your team moving forward. This keeps your team, you get some draft capital, you get a little bit younger, you still have a productive player. Or maybe can you put a second round pick with Davante Adams and go get Nico Collins? You have that productive wide receiver. You have a younger one. This is a bit more of a blockbuster trade, but sometimes, as the championship team, it's worth doing something like this to make sure that you continue to succeed, continue to get better.
And look, I've been guilty of just trying to run it back too. There's a year I finished second in the league, and I was like, man, I'll just draft really well and I'll be good to go. Spoiler,
Easy, right?
I did draft very well. I was not good to go. So, Don't just run it back. You take your time. I always say that the champion should be one of the most active people in the league, because if you win the championship, unless you just got lucky, you probably have some aging vets on your team. Get those guys out of there. Get some younger vets in there. Churn over that roster. That's the way I always see it. You want to repeat? That work starts as soon as you get your winnings.
Mike,
Yes.
you could have won last year with Raheem Mostert and I want to say Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs as your running backs. Now you're going into this year, and Raheem Mostert, he was your RB1 last year, maybe, but do you feel as confident about him being your RB1 this year? I mean,
No.
I still think he'll be productive, but is he going to be the RB2 like he was last year? Probably not.
No, I don't think so. I believe we have one more mistake that we're avoiding.
We do. And this is a pretty important one, Mike. I think we can talk about this one because it applies to every single league. And the mistake is ignoring the needs of your league mates. When you're making a trade, you have to make this trade work for both teams. We are so used to this world of social media where you're making a trade because you want to fleece the other team and then post about it. Or you want to make a spark. You don't want to trade unless you're winning on your trade calculator by 1,000 points or something like that. Those trades, we see them all the time. I will be honest, we see them happen. It's not the way to, number one, make friends in your league. It's not the way to make it so that your league is active often and making those trades often. And what does your league mate need? What do you need? What did your league mate need? It's always great when you find someone that needs a running back and you need a wide receiver and you got running back depth, they have wide receiver depth. It's like a match made in heaven. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for those things. But when it's not just a positional surplus and a deficit somewhere else, one team's contending, another team's rebuilding. Or before you even send a trade, reaching out to those other league mates and ask them, hey, what are you looking for? What do you think about your team? What do you need? What can I provide to you? I want this player. What are you looking for? It's always kind of kills a trade negotiation. And I'm prone to this myself sometimes, but I've been a lot better recently. Sending that offer out cold, if it's a low ball offer, it can kill the trade negotiations right there. But if you reach out with a message, it might be better.
Hey, one other thing too that I don't like the way certain people approach trades. It's, oh, you need this, so I'm going to do you this favor, and I'm going to give you.
Don't tell them what they need.
I don't.
It never works.
You know how I am. When you tell me I have to do something, that is the last thing I'm going to do, ever. It's just one of those things. That's not the way I like approaching trades. I'll usually just send a cold trade offer. And then I might follow up with a little DM like, hey, man, sent you an offer. Check it over when you get a chance. Let me know what you think. And it obviously depends on who I'm trading with. Obviously, I have a good rapport with Nate. So you're a little easier to start that communication with. Some people, like shout out to Emily in Open to Suggestion. Extremely easy to trade with. As far as, we got some back and forth there, but she's very communicative, which is great.
The same word. Thank you, Emily.
Look at that. And that's good. That's good. When you start trade offers, and typically I don't just hit decline and then go about my day. I'll hit decline and say, hey, I'm not interested in this person. Or I might even just not respond to that trade and then just DM and be like, I'm interested in working something out here, but I don't want this piece. I don't want to move this piece too.
I think it's really important to know your league mates. I know there's a couple league mates out there where, we can just go back and forth, just sending trades to each other without ever actually messaging each other. Like we can just, I know that someone, like there's a couple of people out there, I know we will go back and forth with counters. They're not just going to decline and then stop talking. Like they're going to go back and forth with me and we're going to counter, and that's how we're going to communicate. That's fine. You don't always have to mess. You don't have to always have conversations, but you got to know your league mates. There's some people out there, they see something they don't like, they're going to decline it. And you're not going to hear from them again. That's where you maybe need to reach out and see, hey, what do you want? What do you need?
Nate, do we have anything else to add to this?
I think that's good for now. We might see a part 2 come out here because we love talking about these strategies, and we think it's really important. I think we had a really good discussion here tonight, Mike, about some mistakes we're trying to avoid this offseason.
Yeah, I agree. And if you want more great trading discussions, patreon.com/DynastyRuin. Come hang out for a week. We hope to see you there. Till next time, everybody, for Nate, I'm Mike. Thank you for listening.